hard, but Laverick's not giving it to him. Stays alongside all the way through Victor Curve on this first lap. This is a 10-lap race. The field knotted together so early in the event. They don't tend to break up that formation. They stay as close as they can. It's pretty tight racing normally. Little brake block up there as the field came through. But no one in any strife first time round. Gavin Green, a few form comments. Peter Houston, the man to beat?
I think so, yes. Peter would be one of the most experienced drivers in this race. He's been in Vees for a long time. Before that, he used to prepare Paul Bernasconi's Formula V some years before that. He's a very experienced driver, a very quick driver.
Talking of quickness and experience, 35 who went wide was Frank Fowler. He got it back nicely, lost no more than 2 places.
Frank Fowler last year was voted by the Formula V Association of New South Wales as the most promising driver of that year.
Peter Houston still in the lead. He still has Laverick behind him, and Houston hang on grimly, but Laverick about to press another challenge as they come around Ron Hodgson corner into Shell Straight for the first lap.
These are 2 of the newest cars in the race. Peter Houston's Elfin Car 6 and Mark Laverick's Renmax, which is built in Sydney.
Well, now Laverick has the better line, I'd say, Gavin. He seems to have that inside line. They can only hold it, but look, Peter Radke with a real slingshot for the move is on the outside, and he'll be interesting to watch as they come, but he tucked back in again.
Laverick appeared to pull out a bit too early in the slipstream, lost the advantage and had to tuck back in behind. He's not nearly as experienced as driver as Peter is, perhaps inexperienced showed there.
John Hook in 16 on the outside of that middle bunch. Not far back. It's very close competitive racing, as you can see, but once again it's Peter Houston, the older hand among these, who's back up in front again.
Now for the heaviest part of the braking for Formula V's on this circuit. The only left-hander on the circuit, Honda corner.
So it's Houston, Laverick, and then car 3, which is Peter Radke, who just leads 7, Paul McDonald. McDonald started from the second row of the grid, has maintained his station, but Radke who was a little slower in practice, has just got, or rather recorded at the same time, but later has got by him to be in 3rd place.
I feel like an outsider here between the green commentaries this afternoon, but Gavin's a fellow who should know what it's like to take a tumble in one of these Formula V's, because last year, I think not at this meeting, but at the next meeting, the April meeting, he came up over the top of this particular hill, turned left as you'll see the next shot, and then disappeared off camera to the right, and a badly broken leg, and we all sort of held our breath for a fair while. It was a pretty wild ride, Gavin.
It was a very wild ride. It actually happened in the last meeting of last year in August, and coming over the top of the circuit, my car and another car touched. Doug Angus was the other car involved, who went on to win the 2UW series last year. I was placed second in the series at that time, and we touched, and my car rolled over about 4 times at about 95 miles an hour and went into the bank at the back part of the circuit at the loop, and ended up with a broken leg, a compound fracture just above the knee, and was either in plaster or in hospital for a period of 4 months.
Well, no more of the harrowing story. You'll have your father fainting. Right, now, number 7, who's in 4th place there, is Paul McDonald, and he's trying to do what he can to get by Radke, who is trying to catch Laverick, who in turn is after Houston. And that's the way it normally goes. This is the part of the circuit Gavin was referring to as they come up over Bitcher Bay and round Dunlop. It's a fast part of the circuit, but it is a very difficult place. The cars are almost flat out. They stay in 4th gear, and with so little power reserve, because they run standard 1.2 litre VW motors, they haven't got much to pull them out of trouble if they get into it.
You must be very precise in the Formula V. You can't afford to go sideways. Going sideways just wipes off speed. And the smoothest person is invariably the fastest. Again, the heaviest part of the braking down to 3rd gear. That's a very difficult corner. It's blind as you go into it. Houston leaning now as they come down the back straight towards Rothman's corner.
As our cameras go back to Houston, the approach now to Rothman's, he has probably the largest lead so far that he's held since the race started, but that's not to say he's going to go on and win it, because the Formula V's have probably the hottest brand of bumper-to-bumper competition of any form of motorsport, but at this stage it would appear as though he has quite a good lead.
4 cars have broken away, and leading the pack in 5th place is Kerry Calderbank. They have just a little less than 6 laps still to go.
Peter is just far enough in front for Mark Laverick not to be able to get the slipstream.
What's about the right distance, Gavin? How close should you get? Oh, there's one car that's parked.
It's Tony Connolly in the gas V. Looking very sad.
Well, he was posing for centre fold there.
He's got a bit too much on for that. But the right distance, Laverick at the moment would be about 4 to 5 car lengths behind. If he was another...
All the flags are out there. Something has happened. Someone has gone off. I'd say it's on a part of the circuit that's disguised. You can just see the car in there. He's done no more than spin. The marshals are going to push him out again, so there's no damage apparently, certainly no risk of injury. They look as though they're trying to turn the wheel so they can get him onto the track. No, they're taking a bit of bodywork away.
His nose cone off.
So they're doing a quick strip job, which means all they want to do is get him out of the way so he doesn't cause any distress. They're just about to finish now the 4th lap, which means they have 5 to go. Or 5th lap rather, 5 to go.
Laverick's a little closer than he was last time, but still not quite close enough to get the advantage of the slipstream. The slipstreaming, for those viewers who are not familiar with what it is, and it's not a good idea to practice on the road, the slipstreaming is getting as close as possible right behind the car in front. The car in front breaks the wind flow.
Talking of things breaking, it rather looks as though something has gone wrong.
Someone's motor's broken, yes. Yeah. That looks like Peter Radke, I think. He builds his own motor, so he won't be happy.
Indeed, he's still going. You can see there must be a very uncomfortable ride.
For Paul McDonald right behind, yes.
He will be coating his visa in oil. He'll be both having difficulty breathing and have difficulty seeing. Radke's still going, but just waiting to see what happens. It may be no more than a line, something minor, but it's proving very uncomfortable.
He'll probably get black flagged, though, I suspect, which means he has to pull off the circuit when the black flag comes out.
Well, Radke held his line there. You saw how McDonald was trying to get by and couldn't.
Radke probably won't pull off unless he gets the black flag. There's no... It's still
a little fumey. Once again past the Rothmans Tower and again up the top of Mitchell Cove with Houston still leading. Radke blowing more smoke than ever. There's Houston going through, and you'll notice Radke this is where he was certainly blowing a lot of smoke for this particular part of the circuit, and once again he does so he's laying quite a lot of oil out there. Not very good for the engine. If some of that gets onto the back tyres, you'll know all about it too.
Not very good for the cars following him either.
No. There's no black flag being shown, so he's still going, but it is very uncomfortable up there for McDonald.
And Mark Laverick has closed up on Peter Houston. He's gained about 2 or 3 car lengths. He seems to close on Houston at the back part of the circuit. Peters doesn't appear to have the best handling car, and Laverick's, I think, is a little superior in the handling department, but Peter Houston seems to have slightly more power from his motor and is quicker up the straight.
Houston, a much more experienced driver, though.
Yes, Houston's been in Vee's for a long time. This is Mark Laverick's 3rd year. He had 2 years in an older, much less competitive car than this new Remax.
And Peter Radke there, who we just saw briefly, is still holding on to 3rd place and still engulfing Paul McDonald in a smoke screen. So Houston comes over the top of the Dunlop. He's opened up a little bit more of a gap again. He seems maybe to have a little bit of more power than Laverick. And you can see there that McDonald has got by Radke, but Radke doesn't want to surrender the place. He's hanging on as much as he can, hoping that flag was about to be shown, because he must have some difficulty in finishing. He's got only 3 laps to go, or about 2.5 from this point.
Peter Radke will keep going until all 4 wheels fall off.
Which may be happening fairly close. So this Peter Houston goes through. You'll see the amount of smoke, though, that comes from Radke, who'll be appearing right now. He's back in 4th place.
Houston's pulled away again.
So we have Houston in the lead now. Laverick, who was second fastest in practice, is back in 2nd place. And Radke wants his 3rd place back from Paul McDonald. But the leader is Peter Houston in car 6. He'll have 2 laps to go once he crosses the line. It looks like the oil is coming from a rocker cover, which means that as long as he can maintain his supply, he's not going to cause any trouble. It's just oil probably burning on the exhaust pipe. Flows out when he goes around certain corners more than others. Radke, deciding it's not blow up, is going to give it a go and see if he can hang on there right to the end.
That's what's called slipstreaming. Right in his tail.
Radke's dropped back a bit again now, though.
Very fast part of the circuit. That the drivers are flat out. They go into the corner, one dab on the brakes and back on the throttle, and it's full throttle all the way around there.
It's still Calderbank who's leading the pack behind in 5th place. But they're going to have a job in holding back Peter Houston. He's well in front now, as you can see, in the Little Elephant, Australian-made car.
It's made in South Australia by Gary Cooper, Australia's largest racing car manufacturer and the largest in the Southern Hemisphere.
Well, now we've got Laverick under real pressure now. He's dropped back a long way, and we have McDonald coming up to try and pass him in 2nd spot, as you can see. Now Laverick in 18 is dropping back. He's lost a lot of ground to the leader, and McDonald suddenly finds himself with little more than a lap to go within truly striking distance. Now the last lap board goes out. Yes, I would say for sure that Laverick has problems.
Paul McDonald, one of the most experienced drivers, hasn't had a lot of success in Formula V's. It's been in it for a long time. This would be by far his best finish if he can get through to 2nd.
Peter Houston goes through in a fair degree of comfort. McDonald is through into second spot. Laverick, undoubtedly with an ailing car, is dropping back a little bit, but hanging on as closely as he can around the top of the circuit. If he can summon up any sort of attack, he'll put it all together.
Terry Calderbank getting a bit out of shape there, I noticed.
Yes, indeed. We've lost Peter Radke. He's expired altogether, apparently. You can't see his car on the
Not a
circuit.
good day for the Radke cars then. Mark Laverick's in the same team as Peter Radke. Radke, of course, has had trouble. Laverick's had trouble, and earlier the third team car was involved in a heavy accident.
Peter Houston then comfortably in the lead. The battle is on for second spot, in which we have car 7, Paul McDonald, who's following about 120 metres behind this car, being fairly heavily pressed by the determined Mark Laverick. But it's going to be Peter Houston who takes the checkered flag for this 2W Formula V Series race. Trying hard to the very end, acknowledges the checkered flag.
I think also taking almost a little paint off the wall that time. He was that close coming out on the approach to the checkered flag.
Paul McDonald hung on to take second spot from Mark Laverick, and the checkered flag gives Kerry Calderbank fourth place. Those are the results of this 10-lap race for Formula V's. An all-the-way win to Peter Houston in the Elfin.